Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to your New York City crime and fire news. We're doing it a day early because we have some urgent stuff that we need to cover today. We will, of course, get off with our fire news, but also we have to talk about another crime epidemic that could start no earlier than May 17th, and that is the warning that we're giving everybody right now. Be prepared for more subway crime incidents to start, because it is coming, and we'll wrap up the video with that for this week's edition. But we have a lot of fires that need to get into, so a lot today from Channel 7, believe it or not, out of all sources. I have a lot of stuff from Brooklyn that they covered a couple weeks back that I missed out on, so we'll also check the FireWire and see what they're posting today, because they did mention there was a fire in Bayside, and we'll get to that as well. Alright, so let's get into our first incident that happened on Friday. Early morning blaze leaves one injured and over a dozen homeless in the Cypress Hill section of Brooklyn. A two-alarm fire tore through a Brooklyn home and left a man injured early Thursday morning. An inferno engulfed a building at 325 Crescent Street at 5:30 in the morning on Thursday, April 29th. Okay, so this article was posted on Friday. The fire was exacerbated and spread through the structure's wooden frames. Firefighters rushed to the scene where 106 first responders fought to temper the blaze. Fire trucks hoisted the firefighters onto and into the home as black fumes of smoke waffled into the day's first light. The fire swiftly consumed the first and second floor of the building. Yep. So as you can tell, they responded very quickly. So I'm just going to save this for the thumbnail, so we'll use it. Channel 7 has a bunch of videos for their website, but a family was evacuated from the premises while one man was rushed to Wyckoff Heights Medical Center after suffering smoke inhalation. Residents could not do but watch as their home smoldered. One resident told AM New York Metro, "My family is sitting on the sidewalk and they are upset since we were supposed to fly back to Mexico. We lost all of our documents to travel." So wow, they were on their way to JFK and all of a sudden, wow, that's awful. Firefighters battled the dawn inferno for well over an hour, ripping pieces of the structure away to create ventilation. The fire was under control at 6:45 a.m. Over a dozen individuals have been displaced and are working with the Red Cross for aid. The cause of the fire is under investigation by the Marshal's office, so thankfully only one injury. That's the good thing. So let's see. Right, here we go. So one person was put on the gurney, as you can see. So we definitely have an injury. Definitely hopefully a green tag. So that's what they do for non-serious injuries, but precaution, of course. Okay, so let's move on to our next story. So so many fires in Brooklyn. I mean, there's so many of them. It's crazy. Oh, look at this. Channel 7 actually was over the fire on Thursday morning. Look at this. Yeah, we'll keep it on mute. Yeah, watch this. Wow. So this was the top of the building. Look at that. So again, this was Crescent Street in the Cypress Hills section in Brooklyn. Wow. Look at all that smoke coming from the building. Yeah, and the chopper was even able to zoom into all the people who were there. Wow. And again, this is the media in 2021. They're so focused on COVID that sometimes stories like this get buried. So that's why I have to cover them. So we have another fire in Brooklyn. Let's see where this one was. It's in Sheepshead Bay. Okay. So this happened in April, back on the 22nd. Okay. 2 people were injured after a fire ripped through a home in Brooklyn on April 22nd. FDNY officials say they received a call at 8 p.m. for a two-alarm fire at 2299 Garretson Avenue in Sheepshead Bay. So I believe I know this address. Citizen app video captured the huge flames burning through the two-story home. Officials said 2 people suffered minor injuries and refused medical attention. Okay, good. So another green tag. Fire was placed under control. There are no details how the fire started. The marshal's office is going to investigate. So we do have a video of the fire from the Citizen app, so we will play it right now on mute. And we can play it from here. Ooh, that's definitely a big fire right there. Yikes. Yep. We have 2 more we're going to get into in the Bronx. In fact, one story in the Bronx got a lot of coverage last week because one of the fire incidents involved an 8-year-old girl jumping from a window. So we'll get into this one. Oh, this is not good. Canine killed a dog, but they're called canines. Women injured in Brooklyn in the Bronx 2-alarm house fire. So we have a video of it. Let's take a look. Wow. So again, this is what I keep talking about, folks. The FDNY, you know, we don't really appreciate the hard work they're doing for us lately. Look at that. A cat had to be rescued out of the building. We'll play it again. See that? That's the cat. That's the cat right there. They literally had to rescue a cat out of the building. So let's see where this was. Okay, so it says a dog was killed and a woman was injured when a fire broke out on a Bronx home on Friday night, April 30th. FDNY members rushed to Hunts Point Avenue for reports of a house fire, but residents trapped inside. I'll keep this one for later. Officials say the 2-story fire began in the kitchen of the first floor of a 2-story private home around 6:30 p.m. They say first responders were met with thick black smoke pulling out through the front door with the fire out the window of both floors in the rear of the house. Citizen app video showed heavy flames sprawling from the window. So we do have a video from the Citizen app. Let's see if we can play it. Yeah, I have to say, Channel 7's video player is becoming a lot smoother lately. I'll give them credit at WABC. But anyhow, look at this. Wow. And they had the chop open to get the roof, to get into the roof. Yeah. Firefighters navigated high heat and blackout conditions on the upper floors and were able to find the female resident following a search of the upper bedrooms. The woman was taken to nearby Lincoln Hospital in serious but stable condition. Unfortunately, FDNY officials said that 1 dog died in the fire. And the good news is, as you saw in that video, they were able to rescue a cat. Fire marshals continue to investigate the cause of the fire. So, again, one last story, and again, this is just so heartbreaking. And again, we'll get to the reopening of New York in a second. But we'll get to it at the end, I mean. But anyhow, this is just an awful story that happened in the Bronx last week. 8-year-old girl breaks both legs jumping from a 6th floor to escape Bronx fire. So, a yellow tag, obviously. That's the tags they use for injured civilians during a fire. And sadly, this was somebody under the age of 18, obviously. So as you can see, look at this fire. It was literally breaking out of the building right there. Hopefully nobody caught the girl on camera, because that's the last thing anybody needs to see. Oh, they did. They did. You were right. So this looks like the Morsania section of the Bronx. Yeah, see that? Yeah, that's the girl who jumped. They got her on tape, unfortunately. I mean, hopefully they didn't catch her on tape actually jumping, but still. I mean, you can't put that on TV if it actually happened. Especially if it's a broadcast station. WABC would have been fined by the FCC. Alright, anyhow, let's just see here. Yeah, look at that. That is just incredible, the fire. Okay, so let's read into the details. An 8-year-old girl broke both her legs by jumping off a balcony to escape a fire in the Bronx on Wednesday night, April 28th. But officials say her landing may have saved her life. At least 9 people were injured in the blaze, which broke out on the 6th floor of the 17-story building at 540 East 169th Street at 6:30 p.m. The girl was listed in critical but is expected to survive after officials said she jumped from a 6th floor balcony to escape the flames and unbearable heat. She landed on dirt, not pavement, and although she broke both her legs, the fire chief said her landing may have saved her life. So, hopefully in this case, the girl's probably going to end up going to physical therapy, and then maybe they'll try to regain her walking. I mean, I'm just hoping this girl wasn't going to be paralyzed. So, an eyewitness named LeVar Chisholm said that the little girl stayed there and she wasn't moving at all, and I thought she was dead, but everybody rushed out to help her. Linda Kemp, the tenant association president, and 2 neighbors shielded the girl from burning debris that was raining down before EMS could rush her to the hospital. Kemp said, "The child was there, that was my call to do as we do as human beings, and that was protect that baby that was on the floor." Investigators say the girl's 17-year-old aunt tried to save her, but it was blocked by the flames. She reportedly suffered minor injuries. Okay, and it says here that 7 firefighters suffered minor injuries. Thankfully, the good news is the fire was put out at 7:30 that evening. 100 firefighters did respond to this incident. The cause of the fire is not known. Fire marshals will investigate the cause. Okay. I'm trying to get you an update on what happened in Riverdale. If you didn't hear what happened over the weekend, they did catch a suspect, and in fact, New York 1 covered it. So let me see if I can get you that story before we move on to Laura Ewell, because that's important. Let's see, can I go to the Bronx? Bronx, here we go, Bronx. Okay, I want to pull it up, because New York 1 did cover it. Let's see. Oh, not it. We could go. Where is it? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. New York 1 covered it, but yet they didn't. Oh. What a joke. Let's see. Let me see. Nope. You know, I will say, New York 1 really needs to get their act together when it comes to their website, because in case you didn't hear, they caught the suspect in the Bronx synagogue incident. So let me just confirm that, yeah, we have it here. Good. So I'll read the New York Post article after. Because seriously, New York 1 spent 2.5 minutes covering it when the guy was arrested on Saturday. Alright, so let's get into Laura Ewell's page. So, before we move on from fire news, I just want to bring up this incident that was just reported at Bayside. And nowhere to be found. You know, that's what happens. You either have to go through the internet just to find these stories, especially with the FireWire. So, here we go. There's a fire reported in Bayside at 28-38 209th Place in Bayside. The fire started in the basement of a 2-story home. EMS is checking for injuries. Firefighters are working on the scene as we speak. Okay, so let's go to the FireWire and see if we have any other notable things that we need to cover. Okay, so let's see if anything... I just want to backtrack to over the weekend, I guess. Let's just be fair here. Okay, let's see. Private dwelling. Fire on the top floor of a building at 55 Cumberland Street in Brooklyn. Here we go, another one in Brooklyn today. Seriously, what's going on with all these fires in Brooklyn? It's been like this now for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I think. 469 East 25th Street in the Flatbush section of Brooklyn. Private dwelling fire. And look at this. Fire in Staten Island. 221 Bessinger Street in Brighton Heights. Or the new Brighton section. House fire reported. Oh, and look at this. Where was the media? You know, this should have been a big story today. Fire 201 West 133rd Street. Fire in a church. Seriously. You know, the media is so backlogged on these stories just because of COVID. It's incredible. Okay, let's see. Yep, another one in Brooklyn. 58 St. Nicholas Avenue in Williamsburg. Fire in apartment 1R, 3-story building. And again, seriously, what is going on in Brooklyn? Another one, 702 Evergreen Avenue. Oh, and then we have an incident that was reported on Saturday. 153-33 Hillside Avenue. And in fact, units from the 103 actually responded to this. Oh, and then here's something. 6 Spring Street in the Bowery section of Manhattan. Fire on the 3rd floor of a building. Yeah, so you get the idea. A lot of stuff reported in Queens on Saturday, it looks like. Saturday was pretty active, I will say. Oh, and then here's something interesting. Lieutenant Michael Fazio retired from Engine 331 Ladder 173. Wow. Alright, so let's move on to the crime news. Spent about a good, wow, almost 20 minutes covering fire news. Wow. Okay, let's move on. Let's see. Trying to find the shooting in... Oh, look at this! Hit and run on the Belt Parkway. Police report hit and run on the Belt Parkway at exit 17 Lefferts Boulevard in Queens, with one vehicle overturned after multi-vehicle accident with injuries. One driver took off. Eastbound side of the Belt Parkway. ESU is working to upright and remove vehicle. 2 lanes closed. EMS working onto the injured. Wow. Yeah, this is the one I was looking for. You know, I was watching Channel 4 this morning hoping that maybe they would cover it. No! They didn't even send any... Nobody even bothered to send any reporter out to Glen Oaks today. You know, a lot's been happening in Glen Oaks lately, and yet the media just doesn't seem to care. They really don't. Okay, here we go. This is technically Glen Oaks' New Hyde Park area, but okay, here we go. Police close off New Hyde Park Shopping Center on Union Turnpike and 271st Street, reporting multiple shots fired. This was outside the Indian restaurant where there was a party along with the local bar patrons outside. ESU found 3 shell casings. Reported this was a dispute over vehicle mannerism inside the parking lot. Detectives are checking hospitals for victims, including nearby Long Island Jewish and North Shore hospitals in Nassau County. Ongoing investigation. According to police from the 105 precinct, this is not the first time they were called for, as it's frequent in the parking lot with assaults and harassment. Now, I understand that a lot of people want News 12 Long Island to cover this, but remember, this is not a Long Island story. This is technically in Queens. So, in that regard, New York 1 should be covering it, but you know what it is with New York 1? You can be a hit or miss with them. I mean, seriously. And we'll get to the Bronx synagogue in just a second, but You know, this is what happens when you try to censor everything. Oh, and then look at this. Wow. Multi-vehicle accident with close call on the Grand Central Parkway service road. Police closed off the intersection of the Grand Central Parkway yesterday and 164th Street, reporting multiple vehicle accident with injuries. One vehicle with family inside hit the overhead fence with close call. Wow. And we'll get into another FDNY incident later on. Trust me, we will. Okay, here we go. Good news from the Bronx, and cue the Law and Order music. The good news is a suspect wanted in vandalizing synagogues in the Riverdale section of the Bronx has been arrested. And I will mention, I watched New York 1 on Saturday night, and they did an excellent report. They spent 2.5 minutes covering the story, and they even covered the press conference, but yet nothing on their website about it. You know, that's the problem with New York 1. You know, who's running their website? Is Spectrum trying to censor news that, you know, we want to hear from? I really don't know. So the good news is, this man is being charged with 42 criminal counts. So let's get into it. The man who allegedly terrorized a Riverdale synagogue for nearly 2 weeks left a pile of one congregation's prayer books doused in hand sanitizer in woods nearby. Jordan Burnett, 29, faces 42 criminal charges for his role in 9 separate incidents of alleged vandalism over 11 days, in which he is accused of pennying rocks to the doors and windows of 4 Jewish communal buildings. The spree of destruction came to a halt on Saturday, May 1st, when cops caught Burnett riding along traffic on a bike stolen from a nearby conservative synagogue named Adat Israel. Police later found a pile of Adat Israel prayer books covered in hand sanitizer in a nearby wooden area, according to the official criminal complaint. Video showed Burnett covered the books with sanitizer and chuck a rock into the windshield of a Honda Odyssey parked nearby. Surveillance footage and witness statements also pinned Burnett for the other attacks, which began on April 21st when he allegedly pulled the fire alarm at Riverdale Jewish Center. Oh man, so this guy has a long rap sheet. Yep, so this was one of the synagogues vandalized, obviously. The accused vandal allegedly returned to the Orthodox Jewish congregation 24 hours later and struck the rock through the building's glass front door. Video surveillance and witness statements show. He struck again after midnight that night, throwing a rock through a window at the Riverdale Jewish Youth Library. 2 nights later, on April 24th, Burnett allegedly vandalized a succession of 4 buildings and 4 vehicles between 10:25 p.m. and 11:20 p.m. Video footage shows him tossing several rocks through glass doors or windows at 3 different synagogues, the Riverdale Jewish Youth Library, and 3 parked cars in a private dwelling next to the Jewish Board Family and Children's Services Center, according to court documents. Burnett is also accused of hurling a metal garbage can through the rear of a 2016 Subaru parked near Adat Israel. It is unclear what affiliation the vehicles had with the Jewish community, if any. The alleged vandal is set to be arraigned, so he was arraigned, but I think there was an update Channel 4 gave last night. Bronx synagogue suspects. So let me just see if there was an update. Let's see. Because there was an update. Okay, odd. Let me see. Oh, look at this! Look at this! According to Phil Lipoff from WNBC TV, the suspect was released because of bail reform! This is what I keep talking about, folks. This is what I keep talking about. These criminals need to be behind bars until they're fully sentenced. Oh, this guy's gonna be out again. Why? This is ridiculous. Oh, look at this one. A Bronx judge ordered the alleged Riverdale synagogue vandal cut loose on supervised release. Oh. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You just cannot make this stuff up. This gets my blood boiling. It really does. It really does, folks. I'm sorry for lashing out, but I literally heard an update last night on Channel 4 that they let this guy out because of bail reform. So again, this is why I'm going to keep saying this. New York State Assembly, New York State Senate, you should be overriding Cuomo, and you need to get rid of this dangerous bail reform. And, more importantly, and I've called the Supreme Court out on this, U.S. Supreme Court, Chief Justice John Roberts, you need to hold a special session of the United States Supreme Court and overturn this bail reform law in New York. You are conservative. Do something about this. I'm sorry for ranting, folks, but this just gets my blood boiled. It really does. It really does, folks. So, I'm just trying to see if there, the Daily News said he was supposed to be back in court on Friday. Let me confirm. Okay, good. The suspect is due back in court on May 7th, but I'm just going to say this right now. Anybody at the 50th precinct, if this guy doesn't show up to Bronx Criminal Court on Friday, you need to issue a warrant for his arrest. Because what happens is in New York State, if you don't show up to court on your date, police can legally put a warrant out for your arrest. So, this guy better show up in court on Friday. But he's facing 42 charges, which is good. And this guy should be locked up, but still, he shouldn't be out. He shouldn't be out, okay? He should be in jail in the Bronx. I think that somewhere in the Bronx they have a holding cell or something. I don't know. Now let's move on before, things really get out of hand. So we got more shootings. What else is new? Let's just go to this one. Alright, so here we go. 17 people have been injured in shootings across the city since Friday. Police said 4 of the 5 reported shootings between Sunday night and early Monday morning occurred in Brooklyn. The first being at 8:42 p.m. on May 2nd at the corner of Patchen and Putnam Avenues in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. According to law enforcement sources, the victim, a 54-year-old man, got into a dispute with the suspect, a 50-year-old man, at the location for reasons yet to be determined. The argument turned violent when the 50-year-old pulled out a gun and opened fire, striking the 54-year-old man on the right leg, right shoulder, and left hip. Typo. Right there. The suspect had fled from the location by the time officers from the 81st Precinct responded to the shooting. EMS rushed the victim to Kings County Hospital, where he is recovering from injuries not considered life-threatening. About 20 minutes later, officials in the Flatland section responded to the shooting of a 20-something man at the corner of Utica Avenue and Avenue K at 9:06 p.m. on Sunday. Police said the victim took a bullet to his right knee while standing at the location, but so far he's refusing to cooperate with members of the 63rd Precinct in providing further details about the shooting. EMS brought the young man to New York Presbyterian Methodist for treatment. The third Brooklyn shooting of the night occurred at 10:26 p.m. on Sunday night near the corner of Osborne Street and Pitkin Avenue in Brownsville. Law enforcement sources said a 25-year-old man was shot in the right leg after getting into a fight with 2 other men who fled the scene. The nature of the dispute remains unknown and under investigation. Officers in the 73rd Precinct responded to the shooting. Paramedics belonged to Brookdale University Hospital for treatment of his injuries not considered life-threatening. Nearly 2 hours later, a 27-year-old man was shot at the Bayview houses in the Canarsie section early Monday morning. Officers in the 69th Precinct responded to the incident, which occurred at 12:20 a.m. on May 3rd at 5975 Shore Parkway. According to law enforcement sources, the victim was shot in the right arm and wrist as he sat inside a vehicle parked at the location. Cops are now searching for two men seen fleeing on foot after the gunfire. EMS brought the victim to Brookdale Hospital for treatment. Police are also investigating a shooting on Staten Island on Sunday. Authorities say a 20-year-old man took a bullet to his left leg during a dispute in front of 718 Henderson Avenue in West New Brighton at 8:24 p.m. According to the police, the shooter wore all red clothing and fled inside a gray Mercedes-Benz vehicle after pulling the trigger on a man. So, wow. Staten Island. Cuomo corruption, I'm really praying for you out there. I mean, that's just awful to hear. Staten Island. I mean, normally it's a safe borough. Officers from the 120 precinct and EMS respond to the scene. The victim is now recovering at Richmond University Medical Center. No arrests have been made. So, and then there was a shooting in Queens that was brought up. Let me see if I can find it, because it was on AM New York's website. Because we gotta talk about something urgent as well involving a bus driver in Brooklyn, which is getting a lot of media attention. Yep. Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm in complete agreement. I saw somebody on YouTube make a tourist video for people trying to come back, which, the tourists want to come back. Listen, you don't know whose word to believe on, so just come on July 4th. But Brooklyn's seeing a lot of shootings lately. That is just scary to even think. 7 more shootings. I don't even want to get into a lot of these, but I just want to find the one in Queens. Where's the one in Queens? Oh, here we go. Wow, happened in Jamaica. Well, then again, I'm not surprised. It's Jamaica. Okay, so let's see what happened. Early on Friday, April 30th, a 37-year-old man was shot during an apparent robbery gone bad in a municipal parking lot in Queens. Authorities say the incident happened at 6:48 p.m. on April 30th on the roof of a garage at the corner of 89th Avenue and 164th Street. According to sources from the 103rd Precinct, 3 robbers exited from a charcoal-colored BMW, approached the victim, and displayed firearms. After they attained the victim's wallet and a bag in his possession, one of the crooks opened fire, striking the victim in the thigh. Seconds later, police said the crooks got back into the BMW and took off in an unknown direction. Officers from the 103rd Precinct responded to the incident. EMS brought the victim to Jamaica Hospital for treatment of his injuries that were not considered life-threatening. So, that's the good news. At least this guy's going to be okay. But still. Yeah, so this is the one I want to get into. So there is a video of it, and I did bring it up on my Instagram because one of my fellow YouTubers, Claw Boss, brought it up on his TikTok the other day. So, let's see. Can we get the video? Yeah, this is the video right here. So I'm going to have to warn you folks. This is a little bit graphic, but not too graphic because the camera is blurry, obviously. So as you can tell here, this Subaru in Brooklyn runs over the bus driver right there, as you can see. And this woman is paralyzed, folks. I mean, the vehicle ran over her back and her legs. So we'll go back to the moment of impact, as you can see right here. So as you can see right here, looks like the left wheels of the vehicle did get involved with this woman. So let's see. And again, the media's been all over this. In fact, Channel 4 did like a 2.5-minute report on this on Saturday night. Okay, so let's see here. Headline goes, horrific video shows driver mowing down school bus operator in Brooklyn hit and run. So this is Linden Boulevard. And by the way, Linden Boulevard is similar to what the Grand Concourse in Queens Boulevard is, the divided roadway. So, let's read here. Disturbing video that the NYPD released on Saturday morning shows an enraged hit-and-run driver running over a school bus operator on a Brooklyn street on Friday afternoon. The victim in the brazen attack, a 44-year-old woman, suffered severe body trauma in the vehicular attack, which took place at 5:15 p.m. on April 30th at Hinsdale Street and Linden Boulevard in the Lugar section of Brooklyn. The vehicle shows the school bus stopped at a light on the eastbound service lanes of Linden Boulevard with the suspect and his vehicle, a gray 2020 Subaru CTK, directly behind it. The perpetrator gets out of the SUV and walks in front of the school bus, apparently to confront the driver. Seconds later, the video cuts the school bus operator standing on the median of Linden Boulevard and talking with the suspect. Seconds later, the Subaru driver turns to the left and drives right over the median, striking the school bus driver. The victim shows the suspect driving his car right over the victim, leaving her lying on the Linden Boulevard pavement before turning southbound on Hinsdale Street and fleeing the scene. Officers from the 75th Precinct and EMS units responded to the incident. EMS rushed the victim to nearby Brookdale University Hospital, where she was listed in critical but stable condition. So we don't know if she's in physical therapy or not, but we're assuming she probably is because she's probably paralyzed. Wow, so the suspect is the same height as me, 5'7". Adult man with a dark complexion and a thin building, weighing about 155. He was last seen wearing a light colored jacket, a green baseball cap, blue jeans, and sneakers. Law enforcement sources said the Subaru has a New York State license plate number JKE-6813. So again, it is a Subaru CTK with license plate number JKE-6813. If you know where this vehicle is, you can call the Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS, 8477, in Espanol, 888-57-747-82, which is pista. You can also go on to www.nypdcrimestoppers.com or on Twitter at NYPDTips. All calls and messages are kept confidential. So, once again, it appears that from a nearby street camera, they do have an up-close look of the Subaru. So again, here's the license plate. If you know where this vehicle is, please call the Crime Stoppers immediately or notify the 75th Precinct. Okay, anything else? Because I really don't want to make this video longer than it has to be, because we got to talk about the reopening of New York, because it's going to relate to crime, of course. Anything else here? Wow, look at this. Brooklyn woman cuffed for attacking flight attendant on flight to JFK. Wow. Okay. Where I saw something about a hit and run. Oh, this is the one I wanted to cover. Okay. Yeah. So, let me just see. Oh, and then this happened. Shooting at Peter Lugar's Steakhouse. We gotta cover that. Trust me. That has to be covered. Oh, and then here's something that happened in Queens. Alright, so I'll have to do a separate video on the reopening, because we will get to it, I promise. So let me just take a quick water break. Alright, that's better. Alright, so we're going to do 4 more stories, I promise, and then I'll wrap it up, and then we'll do a separate video on what happened with the reopening news. Motorist drives into outdoor dining area in Astoria and fatally strikes a delivery driver. So this happened in Astoria. A woman allegedly sped through a narrow street and drove into an outdoor dining structure in Astoria before fatally striking a 37-year-old delivery man in Astoria. Preliminary police reports say the 60-year-old woman was driving northbound on 35th Street near Ditmars Boulevard around 7:45 p.m. at a high rate of speed on Thursday, April 29th. The woman, in an attempt to pass another car, ran into Sing Long Lin, who was on a motorized scooter, according to a report from WABC TV. After hitting Lin, the woman continued on, running into 2 parked and unoccupied cars and barreling into the outdoor dining structure for Rosantio restaurant. A 32-year-old woman who was eating inside the outdoor structure was hit by falling debris from the collision and suffered trauma to both of her legs. The driver, whose name has not been released by the police, came to a final arrest inside Rosario's dining area. Police arrived at the scene to find Lynn, who lived in Elmhurst, unconscious and unresponsive with trauma to his body. He was taken to nearby Elmhurst Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The 32-year-old woman, who was also taken to the hospital, is in stable condition. The driver also suffered injuries during the crash, was transported to the hospital in stable condition. Lynn was a delivery driver for Wadawa Sushi, a restaurant only a block away from where he was fatally struck. His mom started a GoFundMe page to create a fundraiser for funeral costs. Lynn, who immigrated to the United States 14 years ago, leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. No arrests have been made, ongoing investigations. So. I just want to see if they talked about the officer who was killed in the LIE last week. Oh, look at this! Trust me, I'm going to cover this story when we do the reopening news later on. Okay, so let's see if I can find it. Oh, I missed this one. A burning building in Richmond. Oh, wow. I'm not looking for that. Yeah, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Alleged drunk driver fatally strikes NYPD traffic officer on the Long Island Expressway in Fresh Meadows. Did I cover this last week? Oh yeah, I did. Right, my bad. I just want to mention that the funeral was today. So, there was a police funeral for Officer Tascos, Anistos Tascos in Greenlawn today, so I'll just bring that up. Right, so I did cover this last week. Right. 2 sent to hospital in serious condition after jumping out of a burning building in South Richmond Hill. 2 people were rushed to the hospital Thursday after they both leaped from the 3rd story of a mixed-use building in South Richmond Hill as the floor below them went up in flames. The fire broke out on Thursday, April 29th at 1 p.m. inside the 2nd floor of 119-10 94th Avenue. However, prior to the fire department's arrival, 2 people on the 3rd floor of the building jumped out of a window and down onto the street to escape the fire, according to witnesses. Both people were taken in serious condition to Jamaica Hospital. 12 FDNY units responded to the scene and brought the flames under control by 1:40 p.m. Fire marshals going to look into the cause of the fire. Okay, so 3 more stories, I promise. Detectives question suspect who shot 2 diners at Brooklyn's Peter Lugar Steakhouse. Charges are pending against a 24-year-old man accused of shooting 2 diners after getting into a beef inside the iconic Peter Lugar Steakhouse. Police say the rare disturbance occurred at 9:46 p.m. on April 29th when the suspect, who dined at 178 Broadway in Williamsburg, got into a dispute with other guests. It is not clear at this point what caused the argument. According to law enforcement sources, the suspect then walked out of the steakhouse, then turned around outside the restaurant, pulled out a handgun, and began firing shots. Authorities say he missed his apparent targets and instead struck 2 people who were dining in the outdoor seating area. One diner, a 30-year-old man, took a bullet to his back, while a 57-year-old man was struck in the stomach. Officers in the 90th Precinct and units responded to the scene. Both victims were taken to Bellevue Hospital. Cops captured the suspect in the location a short time later. They recovered a handgun believed to have been used in the shooting. The investigation is ongoing. And then look at this. Queensborough Hill man arrested after threatening a Fedex delivery driver with a bow and arrow. Wow. A Queensborough Hill man was charged after he allegedly chased down a FedEx worker with a bow and arrow. This happened on Tuesday, April 27, when a 38-year-old FedEx employee was delivering packages along his route in Queensborough Hill. Driving over a package at Lawrence Street and 59th Avenue, the delivery man was approached by a 22-year-old Alexander Carrion, who lives in the area, police said. Kurian began to argue with the FedEx employee before taking down a bow and arrow and chasing him down the street. Police were called to the scene and quickly located and arrested Kurian without incident. Kurian faces 5 charges, including reckless endangerment in the first and second degree, menacing, criminal possession of a weapon, and harassment. Thankfully, the good news is the FedEx delivery driver was not injured. That's good news, at least. Ongoing investigation. So, look at this. What kind of weapon is this? Really? So, officers from the 109 did respond to this. Okay. And then lastly, we got to get into this because the media didn't cover this a couple weeks ago. If you're not aware, there were protests because over the weekend, last weekend, because they were upset that the mayor told New York City office workers to go back to their in-person work. Today, there was a rally in Union Square over the weekend and at Washington Square Park. Peaceful protesting on May Day, so that was to be expected, but this didn't get covered. I mean, where was the media when this happened 2 weeks ago? So let's see what happened. Oh, this was the protest at Columbus Circle a couple weeks ago. Right. And this happened on April 22nd. The Black Power for Black Justice Guilty is Not Enough protest began at the Stonewall Inn before protesters made their way to Columbus Circle, where 6 individuals were arrested between 5th Avenue and East 59th Street. Oh, so the media did cover this, but they didn't mention that this was a gay protest. Yeah, look at this. Crazy. Right, so they did, let me see if there's a reasonable news article about this. Yeah, because they did vandalize a statue at Columbus Circle a couple weeks ago. Let's see. Can't find it. Do apologize for the foul language. But this was the statue that was vandalized, obviously, right here. So, seriously, they vandalized the Columbus statue. I mean, don't these people have anything better to do? Yeah, I'm not going to show you it because then it's just too vulgar, but... Okay, so that's going to wrap up this week's update. I'm going to do a separate video on the reopening. So, with that being all said, thank you all for watching. Until the next one, please take care.